folks, and welcome to the Sunday Shift Report, SHTF. The crap has hit the fan. So we got a multitude of things that I want to go over in regards to the demolition of the food supply and how we can look at this in different manners. What I want to go over is I want to show you a few things. I want to show you wildfires. I want to show you droughts. I want to show you, what else do I got here? The ports. I want to show you the Chinese port versus the California port. What else do I got? And some other things that are going on, as well as what the FBI just said in a recent statement in regards to cyber attacks on our food supply chain system. I don't know how many of you folks have been aware of that. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of all the fires. For one key thing, which is, I think, what is it? Cargill, JBS Meats, XRP, Azure, just to name a few of the food supply warehouses and producers that have been obliterated by fire. Coincidental? I don't know. Me and Rudy, the Alaska Prepper, as you guys know, we were live Thursday night. If you haven't seen that live, it was amazing. Great information there. And like I said, that question came up, so I decided to do a little digging and share what I found with you in regards to some of the questions that you guys had. Where do we see this? Is it a controlled demolition of our food supply chain? How far is it going? Where will we be in the fall? Now, the purpose of this video is to educate you and inform you, not to scare you. Now, again, when it comes to fear, fear is, as Rudy said, a little fear goes a long way because maybe it'll set you in motion to get prepared. Most of you folks that watch me, unless you're new on the channel, and if you are new, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. A little self-promotion there. But it's you need to be ready for what's coming down the pipe. So what I want to start with, we got several things to go over, and I'm going to focus on the demolition of the food supply chain a bit, and show you some things in regards to what's going on in Nebraska, New Mexico, and Arizona. But also we're going to, after we cover that topic, I want to look at some of the things in regards to some of the things that have happened. Something that just made me laugh, that Corn Pop, most of you guys know who I'm talking about, said about our military. Also, I want to talk about a Florida sheriff and why a lot of people consider Florida one of the last free states in the union, as well as, what else do I have on here? We have some cooking oil limits down in the UK. And the dollar. The dollar is losing its potency as a reserve currency in the United States, or across the globe per se, right? I want to touch on that real quick as well. So we got a lot to get into, and we're going to dive right into it. So first of all, you guys know how I do this. Everything that I talk about, all the articles will be listed down below. So you guys can always go further into it and research them and garner your own opinion and your own perception of what these articles are stating. So you guys can click on those in the description. You can see that as well, and go a little further than I am with it if you want to educate yourself on some of the things that I'm talking about. What else did I want to say is I don't think that matters that much. I was going to say something else, but it really doesn't matter. But anyways, let's get into the main part of this, is because this is something new that fell on my plate before we get into the wildfires, the droughts, and all the other stuff. Let's pull it up and see what we got here. As you can see on the screen, let's go ahead and dive into this article. It says the FBI's Cyber Division issued a warning about potential cyber attacks on agriculture cooperatives and food plants amid increasing media coverage of recent fires and explosions at food processing plants across the United States. Ransomware actors may be more likely to attack agriculture cooperatives during critical planting and harvest season, disrupting operations, causing financial loss, and negatively impacting the food supply chain if we already haven't had enough things that are chipping away at this food supply chain situation. The FBI's recent notice said, adding that ransomware attacks in 2021 and early 2022 could disrupt the planting season by affecting the supply of seeds and fertilizers. So that's one thing that I wanted to bring your attention, is the part about also seeds and fertilizers, because fertilizers is what the farmers need. We already know that there's a fertilizer shortage because of what's transpiring over in the Ukraine and Russia, as well as how many fertilizer plants have also caught flame and burned to the ground. And then back to the supply of seeds. You need seeds to plant in order to create vegetables or fruits, wheat, and the list goes on, right? So to me, this is something that just when it just popped up, I was like, wow, this is something that needs to be said, and my viewers need to know about this, because other countries are seeing this situation arise in the U.S. and are going to take advantage of that situation. Anyways, moving on, it says a significant disruption of grain production could impact the entire food chain, since grain is not only consumed by humans but also used for feeds for animals. Keynote there, feed for animals. So that's also going to affect your pork, your beef, your chicken. And we've already talked about the whole avian flu thing and how that's affecting egg prices and chicken meats and all that stuff like that. And just having the ability to buy chicken. The price increase on buying chicks this year has dramatically increased as well. Anyways, it says the Bureau also warned, adding that a significant disruption of grain and corn production could impact commodities, tradings, and stocks. So what they mean by that aspect is that the stock market, as you see, it's up and down, up and down. Every time there's something going on, it drops, it goes up, and stuff like that. But this can also be detrimental to the U.S. dollar in regards to stocks and commodities. So it's just not affecting the food; it's affecting the money. It's just it's a nice, I don't want to say it's nice, but it's a quite the coincidence how everything is compounding the situation with our supply chain, specifically focusing on the food. Now, it's funny, when we were having that conversation on Thursday night, it does make absolute sense, in the sense that the disinformation in regards to the food shortages and that what we're seeing across the U.S. as well as the globe is they're saying that there's other media outlets out there saying it's not going to affect the U.S. And I loved Rudy's answer to that, because then I dug it more into it and it made 100% absolute sense. The fact that if they control the food, if they control the fuel, if they control all the necessities that we need to survive, you will be dependent on the government. You will have nothing and you will like it. Anyways, folks, really important there. The other governments, per se, are watching what's transpiring here in the U.S., looking for vulnerabilities, and could exacerbate the already critical situation that we're in. Hopefully that's something new that you guys might not be aware of. Maybe you guys are. I don't know. Anyways, I wanted to share that just because it was quite intriguing. Now, moving on to these wildfires that are kind of popping up everywhere. And it's always hard to determine. That's why I kind of want to show you the drought map and the wildfire map, because drought this year, if the drought continues to the direction that it's going into, because this hasn't even sparked the Californian season yet. Most of this drought, from what I can see, is in the Texas, New Mexico, and that general area. It looks like Northern California, parts of California. They're already getting into that drought situation, which of course last year's drought adversely affected the crops. So it's just not one thing, it's a culmination of many, many things that we need to keep an eye on and stay informed. So let's go over to this wildfire situation. I got one. Let me see. I want to go here first. We'll go to Nebraska. Here in Nebraska, it says wind-driven wildfires sweeping through parts of Nebraska contributed to the death of one person and injured at least 3 firefighters, authorities said on Sunday, which is today. I tried to keep the news as updated as possible, so by the time this airs, you guys are informed. Anyways, it says the person who died was in Red Willow County in the southwest corner of the state. Nebraska Emergency Management Agency spokeswoman Jody Falls said she didn't have the details about that person or where the firefighters were injured, though she said the injuries were not believed to be life-threatening, which is always a good thing, but one person lost their lives, and to me that's too many. Let's move over to the New Mexico and Arizona fires. We'll throw that up on the screen. It says New Mexico Governor Michelle Grisham had signed an emergency declaration as 20 wildfires continue to burn Sunday in nearly half of the state's drought-stricken 33 countries. So now they're only dealing with wildfires, they're also dealing with drought. And what I say, when I tell you to go a little bit deeper than sometimes that I go in these articles, that means it's like look into New Mexico, look into other places like Arizona. Do they grow anything? What do they do for us in regards to food supply? What commodities? What is this going to affect these wildfires and these droughts? That's what I mean by usually, you want to follow up with some more information and dig into it a little bit deeper. Anyways, one wildfire in northern New Mexico that started on April 6th merged with a newer fire Saturday. So this fire's been raging for quite some time to form the second largest blade in the state at more than 66 square miles, leading to a widespread evacuations in Moore and San Miguel counties. Widespread evacuations. This is hence why I like to say that you should have a bug out bag with the necessities that you need in it. Because if you are evacuated somewhere, you want to have something readily accessible because you may need to move quick and fast. And being wildfires may demolish your entire home or your property or your preps or your crops or whatever that you got going on from homestead to garden to wherever. You may want to have things packed. Some people pre-pack their vehicles with some necessities as well as having a bug out bag. So just be aware, this is why we say things that even if you say, I won't bug out, there's always a situation that may arise where you need to leave your home, and it's nice to have something readily accessible to go. And when you have no choice, but you have to leave your home. You cannot sit there, and you can try to fight a wildfire on your own, but usually, have you seen in the history that usually that doesn't work out that well. So that being said, I just wanted to kind of hit that home with you folks, that somebody say, I'm never going to bug out, I'm going to die with my home. Now, that being said, you do have that choice. If you feel it's your time and God is calling you at that point, then do what you need to do. That's your choice as an American. But all in all, it's nice to have a bug out bag. Moving on. It says another wind-driven wildfire in northern New Mexico that began April 17th has charred at least 76 square miles of ponderosa pine, oak brush, and grass north of Oakate, an unincorporated community in Moore County. Meanwhile, in Arizona, some residents forced to evacuate due to wildfire near Flagstaff were allowed to return home Sunday morning. That's awesome. So some of those folks didn't lose everything. Winds and temperatures in New Mexico diminished Saturday but remained strong enough to still fan fires. Dozens of evacuations orders remained in place. So that's just one part of it, folks. The last part I had here on the wildfires is to kind of focus in on Flagstaff. I'll throw it up on the screen for you to see. It says in Flagstaff, Arizona, Maggie Mulligan said her dogs could sense the panic as she and her husband packed them up and fled the fast-moving wildfires. Keyword, fast-moving wildfires barreling toward their home in northeast New Mexico as they agonized over having to leave their horses behind. I don't know how many, a lot of us, even if there are not even pets, but horses, dogs, cats, chickens, some of us, we use, they become part of the family. And to leave them behind, just imagine how some of those folks may feel. Anyways, this is Mulligan and her husband, Bill Gomba, 67, were among the anxious residents who hurriedly packed up. I'm just, I like to pause on it. Who hurriedly packed up and evacuated their homes on Friday ahead of ominous western wildfires fueled by the tinder dry conditions of ferocious winds. More than 1,600 firefighters were battling 9 different large fires in Arizona and New Mexico that have destroyed dozens of homes and burned more than 100 square miles in the blazes. Fires also were burning in Colorado, where new evacuations were ordered Friday west of Colorado Springs, but there were no immediate reports to structures being lost. So now it's moving through the Colorado region down there in southern Colorado. I think, Colorado Springs is south of what I can't think of the name, but yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. I hope, right? Denver, that's what I was trying to say. Denver. So that being said, let's take a look at something real quick, folks. So let's take at the wildfire map. It doesn't, some people may say this does not look impressive. So here's the wildfire map. Maybe I'll make it full screen. I haven't decided yet. We will figure it out by the time we edit this video. As you can see there, you can see where the fires are at. You can see the smoke dispersion going all the way through Kansas, all the way reaching up to Wisconsin. It looks like the half of the state of Wisconsin is receiving some of that smoke from these wildfires, which can, of course, degrade, your air quality and whatnot. But so that is the wildfires there. I wanted to show you that map just so you can kind of see that. Of course, you can Google this information. You can find the wildfire maps and kind of hone in on there and click on some of these things to kind of give you more information about those wildfires, if it's under control, what percentages, if it's 98% controlled, 50% controlled, any advisories and stuff like that, especially if you live near one of these situations. And I'm pretty sure that some of you folks in chat right now live near some of these areas. So after that, I wanted to show you the drought map. So let's throw the drought map up here on the screen. This is as of April 19th, a few days ago. And as you can see there, like I said, It looks like Oregon is doing pretty bad. The center of California is pretty bad. You got Nevada, you got Texas, New Mexico, and other places there that you can see on the map where there is an exceptional drought. Also extreme drought. But if you look at the whole western side of the United States, they're in at least a severe drought or worse. Here in Florida, we're abnormally dry, surprisingly. Usually we're going to be hitting in our rainy season here soon, but we'll see. Maybe we won't get rain. Maybe Florida will be in that same situation. There is one fire over by Naples, very small, kind of contained, but I stay up to date on stuff that's happening in Florida in my area just to make sure. The eastern region, kind of in the Michigan and that, Illinois and that kind of area looks pretty good. Doesn't seem to be a drought in that because we've seen some severe storms move through that, like tornadoes, severe weather patterns like hail, all kinds of crazy things happen in those areas, which also affects people's farms, people's grows, and whatnot. It also affects you and your situation in your garden. Maybe you have a bunch of tomato seedlings that you got going on and they're about a foot tall, and that heavy wind or tornadic activity or something like that comes to the area and destroys your garden. So these are things that we need to be aware of. Weather is something that's going to affect everyone. Anyways, I wanted to show you that drought map and kind of, go over that real fast just to show you that it's a culmination of many things, be it the war in Ukraine, be it the cyber attacks that are somewhat, from what the FBI is saying, are inbound. And some people say, well, is it truly inbound? Is it just a warning, or is it going to be some sort of false flag? I'm going to leave that open-ended in the fact that you guys make the best decisions that you can on the information that I'm presenting you. So where do we want to go from there? Let's go into the whole situation in China. Some people say that they really don't care what's going on in China. They don't really care, not realizing how much we depend on places like that for supplies. A lot of you folks are probably looking, if you have certain parts that you need. And here's the thing is, a lot of people say, well, I live off grid. I don't really care what's happening in China. Well, do you have a controller that controls your solar panels, little modules, inverters, batteries, and all that stuff like that? Is it made here in the U.S.? Is it absolutely made here in the U.S.? Or are those electronic parts imported from other parts of the country? If your controller breaks, do you have a replacement for that controller? Do you have replacements for those parts to keep your solar going up? Do you have the replacement parts for, let's say, if you have one of those electronic water heaters for your homestead and whatnot? So this is why I say you need to pay attention to what's going on, because this could affect you in the aspect if you don't have additional supplies or different replacement parts and you cannot find them because there's a supply issue with that. That's going to create a situation that, especially if you depend solely on solar for some of the things in your home, be it light. Hopefully you have lanterns and oils and stuff like that and other things to produce light, and have a surplus of those supplies as well. Anyways, I just kind of wanted to say that because some people feel that they're in a safe situation and disregard some of the information when they don't realize how important this can be in regards to other things that they have in their home that come from overseas. Not that we want them to. We want to be independent. We want to be self-sufficient here in the U.S. But unfortunately, the powers that be have destroyed the U.S. The U.S. infrastructure into the aspect of everything is pretty much majority. I can't even say that word today. Why not, Gray? Anyways, most of this stuff is created overseas and then shipped over here. Some of it, don't say made in the USA or made in China but assembled in the US, but they still can't get the parts, even down to the smallest parts. Let's say they can get the chassis for the inverter, but they can't get certain chips to put the inverter together. You kind of get what I'm saying? It all is a piece of the puzzle, so you need to be aware and always have redundancies in case a situation like this arises where you are cut off from having access to these supplies. So let's throw up the supply chain real quick in regards to China. It says satellite maps expose Shanghai supply chain standstill. Okay, so China has mandated a strict zero Charlie Victor policy since the onset of the global health crisis, which has led to tight lockdowns across the country whenever cases have started to spike. I've showed you videos. I've showed you some of the situations in China. I think on the last Sunday Shift Report, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. We showed the drones, talking to people. We saw mechanical robotic dogs. We've seen how the Chinese are what they're doing to the people banging their pots, screaming they're starving. The lockdowns are severe. These are millions and millions and millions of people, that are being lockdown, which is also affecting their labor force, which is affecting the ports. Anyways, moving on. It says recently lockdown restrictions have been enacted in major cities like Shenzhen, Shanghai, as China deals with one of its worst outbreaks since the Wuhan in December of 2019. As visual capitalists Carmen Ang and Nick Rootley detail below, these cautionary measures have had far-reaching impacts on China's economy, especially on its supply chain and logistics operations. Shanghai's port system, which handles about one-fifth of China's export containers, is currently experiencing significant delays as a result of the recent government lockdowns. Got to take a breather there and have some coffee. Hopefully you folks are drinking some coffee as well, or some tea. Anyways, so let's look at the Chinese port. And I'm going to show you the Chinese port. And there's always that one person out there, well, can you show us another port? Because is that normal? So let me bring up my map. Let me bring up the China map first. All right. And I'm going to make it full screen so you can see. So with this whole situation here, if you look to the left, this is as of, like I said, it's pretty up to date. And you see I only have cargo vessels and tankers on this map. So there's Shanghai right there, that kind of extrudes right out in the corner. And look at all those ships. Those are all cargo vessels and tankers only. No high-speed craft, no tugs, no fishing, no pleasure craft, none of that BS. This is straight tankers and cargo vessels. So you see the congestion there, right? And I'm going to show you an exact duplicate of that map, but then I'm going to show you in California, because we've seen, what was it, last year, the backlog in California. It was very similar to this, and we saw how the supply chain was affected by that as well. So let's move on. Let's move on to the California port. Roughly within a minute later, all I'm doing is scrolling across the map and bringing up with the same exact thing. So let me, so that you guys can see this. As you see, I only have cargo vessels and tankers clicked. It looks relatively clear. There's not too many ships out there, right? Compare that to the Shanghai map. It's extremely congested. Things are at a standstill. So that is creating the issue. Again, you can look at the corner. You can look this up information yourself. You can use these marine maps. You can easily find them on any type of website. But as you can see, there's a major difference between the two. So you can see where Shanghai and China, that whole coastline there, is extremely congested and pretty much at a standstill, versus California, which we see, what we saw a while back, and that same situation there. Again, these maps are exactly, the same things are ticked off on both maps so that you can see the exact differences between the two. Some people say, well, you know, China is a major producer, they're bound to have more traffic. Sure, but California is also one of the busiest ports in the United States, where we get our exporting from China, importing to the U.S., where all the ships are coming in from China to the United States in California. So you would expect to see a lot of ships out there, and it's from my perspective, there's not many at all. Just wanted to show you the difference in that, because I want to show you guys that there is a situation. You just can't listen to the news. You just can't read an article. Sometimes you need to visually inspect this. Are they saying factual? Is it factual? You want to go a little further with things, and that's what I'm trying to do here, to inform and educate you folks on the situation, and kind of show you, like I said, with the droughts, the wildfires, the ports, and all the situation, how it's culminating to affect the food system that we have here in the U.S. and across the globe. Like I said, it's just not us, but it will affect us. Yes, I agree that it probably will affect third world countries a lot worse than it is. If you've seen the international, I don't know, whatever they call it, world food thing, the third world countries will suffer a lot quicker and faster than us here in the U.S., but it will affect us. And again, I think it's going to get worse, far worse before it ever gets better. Not to try to scare you, but to get you to want to grab a couple extra cans of food, to get maybe some freeze-dried, to get your garden going, to just get going and trying to do everything for food security for you and your family. Whew. Sorry, that being said, let's kind of jump over to the UK real quick. And I know I have some folks out there that live in the UK, and you guys can verify this in case the article is off, but I believe, to be honest, that it's real. So let's throw this up on the screen here. It says UK's largest supermarket begins rationing cooking oil amid supply disruption. Another reason why we say there's certain things that you need to stock up on because of situations like this. They're rationing cooking oil. So you can only go to the store and get so much. Some of you folks have sent me pictures Maybe I'll share some of those on a live stream here, either Tuesday or Thursday, depending on what I have going on. Pictures that I've been getting some more pictures from folks where there's limitations on how many eggs you can buy, how much meat you can buy, and stuff like that. Kind of like we saw with the whole toilet paper crisis and whatnot. I don't know why toilet paper went so crazy, but it is what it is, right? Anyways, folks, it says if record high food prices weren't enough, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has choked off the world of sunflower oil supply, forcing the largest supermarkets in the UK to begin rationing. The Guardian reports that Tesco, with more than 4,000 retail stores, placed buying limits on 3 cooking oil bottles per customer. It follows Waitrose and Morrison's and other supermarket chains that have set limits just 2 per customer. The UK's biggest retailer is experiencing sourcing issues with cooking oil, especially sunflower oil, which much of it comes from the Ukraine. As retailers panic about sourcing edible oils, it has driven retail cooking oil prices on average of 20% over the last year. So you're paying a lot more for the same cooking oil that you bought last year, 20% more. This is why if you would have stocked up on, let's say, cooking oil last year, and use alternate. There's better cooking oils than stuff like sunflower oil is great, sure, peanut oil, canola oil, all that stuff like that. But the shelf life of it is not as good as, say, coconut oil. Has a lot longer shelf life, and stuff like lard, ghee, other things that you can cook with. So you need to supplement your prepper pantry with things like that. Imagine if you had your ghee, which some people say has an indefinite shelf life, but at least 5 years regardless. I mean, you go to Rudy's channel, Alaska Prepper. He's going to be doing a video on some ghee that he's done, and I've been trying to follow his process on processing ghee for my own pantry. But also lard, stuff like lard has a nice shelf life, and like I said again, coconut oil and stuff like that. So look at your alternatives outside of the oils that they're actually where there's a shortage at. But don't get complacent. You want to make sure that you have plenty. We always say at least some people say 3 weeks, some people say a month, 2 months, 3 months. I like to say if you can get over time and get at least a year's worth of supply, that would be very beneficial to you. Me, I've gotten there just because I've been doing what I've been doing for so long. But I'm trying to extend that. I'm trying to build on that because to me, I don't ever want to stop. Worst case scenario, I have 5 years worth of food. And everything goes up in smoke, and at least I have some sort of comfortability for me and my family, maybe some loved ones, depending on my calorie breakdown of what people can get, because then you don't want to just consume it all in one sitting. Not that you could, but I mean probably people could. But anyways, you get what I'm saying though, right? You don't want to live for the now. You always want to look towards the future when it comes to your prepper pantry. Like, how long is this going to last me? How many calories do we need to survive? Just like how many gallons of water per day we need. Stuff like that. You need to math that stuff out for you and your family. If there's 2 of you, 3 of you, 5 of you, and the list goes on. Anyways, back to this. This is last week, British Retail Consortium Tom Holder told the BBC that rationing was temporary, as they like to say, not to ensue panic. But anyways, to ensure availability for everyone, he says supermarkets are working with suppliers to ramp up production of alternative cooking oils to minimize the impact on consumers, Tesco said in a statement. So they always like to throw that in there because they don't want to incite panic, which I understand. Because once you incite panic, that's when the people that are asleep, who watch just little tidbits of the news, and they go out and just start going nuts and creating this havoc, and then of course exacerbating the already vital supply chain where things were going to be in limited supply. Some people are always going to come at me and be like, hey, well, it says limit, you can only buy 3, so I'll just go there every other day and buy 3 and buy 3 and buy 3 and stuff like that. I get that that's possibly an option for you to do so, but all in all, it's still the process of them putting a limit on something. And will it go further? So they limit you to 3 now, then they limit you to 2, then they limit you to 1, and then all of a sudden, no. Now you have to go into a food line and get government-issued sunflower oil or whatever cooking oils that you need, aka food, and so on and so forth. So you can see how this can progress into a lot dire situation. Whew. All right. It's a little bit warm in my office today, folks. And if you haven't hit that like button yet, please do so. I appreciate that. It's always nice to see the thumbs up button getting smashed. I can't actually physically see it, but I can see the thumbs up button going up. It's truly appreciated, and it definitely helps out get this information out. So now we're going to dive into the U.S. dollar real quick, and just because I want to show you that we're being attacked on all fronts, from food to the economy to government to politics. Everywhere you look, to critical race theory, to things that are being taught in our classroom, it's just an onslaught of craziness going on in the U.S. So let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick. I'm going to throw up this little quick thing real fast first, and it's going to say, oh, that didn't work. There he goes. Anyways, it says the dollar's reserve status has taken a hit in recent years, while China's yuan has seen its share rise. J.P. Morgan finds. So that's just a little headline. That's just a clip there. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because if you look what Russia has done, if you look what China has done, if you look what the Saudis and the Middle East have done, they've all been slowly dumping U.S. dollars. So that eventually is going to affect us tremendously as the dollar loses its value more and more and more. And if the world, basically it's the U.S. dollar, what is it in the U.K., the British pound and stuff like that. That's basically the world's usually their main currencies that they stock. So let's look at this. Israel has jumped on the bandwagon with other countries that are dumping the U.S. dollar. It says Israel's central bank will add Chinese yuan while slashing its dollar and euro holdings in a move to diversify its reserve allocations and lengthen its investment horizon, Bloomberg reported. It says we need to look at the need to return. Come on, Gray, you can spit it out. It says we need to look at the need to earn a return on the reserves that will cover the cost of liability, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Israel, Andrew Beer, said in an interview. In addition to the yuan, the bank also will add the Canadian and Australian dollar, signaling a shift in the bank's whole investment guidelines and philosophy. Beer said previously the bank only held U.S. dollars, euros, and British pounds, the three big key players in this. So now they are diversifying as well with Chinese currency, as well as Canadian and Australian currency. Someone broke it down. I think it's 5% of their holdings will be the Chinese yuan, and I think there's like a few other percent on the other two. But this is showing a major shift in the way the world is looking at the U.S. dollar. To me, it feels like they themselves are rethinking their whole view on the United States' power in regards to its economic power in regards to the U.S. dollar. Maybe people feel that what's happening in our country is the slow falter of the U.S. dollar being the world's reserve currency. Something to keep an eye on. It's just we've talked about it. Last year we even brought it up in regards to Russia was dumping U.S. dollars, China was dumping U.S. dollars for precious metals like gold and silver, and also investing in other currencies across the globe. It's like they all know something that we may not know, but we probably do know. At least if you're in this chat, you probably do know where this is going. Anyways, moving on to a couple of things. One thing that really upset me, I'm going to save that for last, just because it's a little, it gets you, sometimes it hits you in the heart, you know what I'm saying? And to me, I feel this falls on the president's lap. It's his fault and his administration's fault. But first, let's go to this ridiculous statement. All right, here it is on the screen. It says the president on Friday said his administration is working to make every vehicle in the United States military climate friendly. Does that even make sense to you, the folks out there, to the general public? Does that even make sense? And I'll explain why to me it doesn't make sense. Or anybody who's ever been in the military knows that can't make sense. Anyways, it says the president delivering Earth Day remarks from Seward Park in Seattle, Washington. Great place for him, right? Discussed his administration's effort to address climate change and called on Congress to take action. One of the things found, and this is a direct quote, one of the things I found out as president of the United States, I get to spend a lot of that money. Yes, just print it and spend it, print it and spend it, give it away. Don't worry about the American people, blah, blah, blah. And the list goes on there. Anyways, we're going to start the process where every vehicle in the United States military, every vehicle is going to be climate friendly. Every vehicle, I mean it. So let me ask you guys a question. Are we going to have tanks on the battlefield that are electric? I mean, does that make any sense? You're going to have what, a solar power tank, a battery powered tank. Does that make sense? Do we have the technology to do that? And then what about if someone was to use a small yield or directional EMP device on a fleet of tanks that are supporting our troops on the battlefield, and then those tanks become inoperable? And some people are going, well, they're probably going to have shielding against EMPs. I still feel that this is going to create a bigger issue down the road if this was to move forward. Now, will it move forward? I don't know. We got the primaries in November. If the GOP happens to take the House and takes the Senate, there will be some sort of pushback. And I'm assuming, because sometimes you know how things go. Sometimes people jump on certain bandwagons because they're offered lots and lots of money and power, that this would not move forward. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe in my lifetime or not. I don't know. But it does not make absolute sense. You're gonna have helicopters, your fighter jets, all this stuff run on what, batteries and solar and what propane. Well, propane. No, you can't do propane because that's a no. That's not green per se, as he likes to call it, because they don't want you to do fracking and they don't want you to drill for oil. So I just don't think. Anyways, I just wanted to bring that up, and I know most of you folks have heard of that. It's just ridiculous, to say the least, and I would assume that most of you would agree. Now, let's touch on something that one of the sheriffs here in Florida said. So with all this chaos ensuing, and if there ever happens to be a situation where there's food riots, or people, okay, so let's say the poor, people that are really on the bottom rungs, people that depend on the government, people that get welfare, people that do stuff because of whatever situation may be in. Maybe they chose to it, maybe they didn't chose to it, maybe they're on Social Security, whatever the situation is, and they did not prepare. So they go to food banks, and as you guys know, the food banks are in dire situations. Matter of fact, I'm going to follow suit this year, and I'm going to try to do something with my YouTube finances, things that I get from my super chats and my members, and AdSense and ad revenue. What I'm going to do is all the money that I'm going to start collecting over the next few months. I'm going to do, instead of doing a Toys for Tots drive this year, I think what I'm going to do here roughly in October is all the money that gets donated to the channel, all the money that I make off ad revenue, I'm going to pour into buying food. And I'm taking a page from Rudy the Alaska Prepper, because he is awesome at doing this. And I think it's really cool that he does this stuff, because he really gives back to his community. And I idolize that situation, because that's just very heartwarming, the things that he does. Just imagine how many people he's helping. And I want to do the same thing. Yes, I'm on a smaller scale, but with your help and me making these videos and all that stuff like that, we're going to try to help some folks this year as well. I just wanted to let you guys know that that's probably the big plan for this year, that we're going to probably start pushing hard in October, because before November, before Thanksgiving, I want to drop off a ton of food, as much as I can, money I can raise and buy, for this thing, to help with the food banks here locally and whatnot. Anyways, let me go back to what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is the chaos. People trying to break into your homes, people trying to rob you, people trying to do things. And if you live in a place like California or New York or Chicago, sometimes the powers that be will penalize you for protecting your stuff and your home and your family, but not here in Florida. Let's bring it up. So it says, Florida Sheriff, we prefer homeowners shoot burglars to save taxpayer money. Now, some people are like, well, that just sounds horrible. Some people may not agree with the sheriff, but you got to dig into the article. It says, homeowners under attack by a burglar don't need to retreat to try to escape, but rather stand their ground, and if necessary, use deadly force. This is what Florida Sheriff told residents. Santa Rosa County Sheriff Bob Johnson told residents they are more than welcome to shoot burglars at a Thursday press conference after a crazed man went on a home invasion spree in the northwestern portion of the Sunshine State. If somebody's breaking into your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County, and we prefer you to do that, actually, Johnson said. According to the Pensacola News Journal, the sheriff wasn't sure which homeowner shot the 32-year-old Brandon Joseph Harris, who has since been arrested and accused of committing a series of break-ins on Wednesday evening. We don't know what what homeowner shot him. I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. Whoever that was, you're not in trouble. Come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday, and if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money, Johnson said. Also, it says the suspect has been arrested 17 times since the age of 13 and has been sent to prison for 6.5 years for a home invasion. Johnson said some people just don't learn. For us, he is job security. We deal with him all the time. Hopefully this time he will go and he won't get out. So basically, here in Florida, you have the castle doctrine and stuff like that, which also extends to your vehicle. A lot of the sheriffs in Florida believe that you have the right, your God-given right, to protect your family and your home against intruders or people trying to cause harm to you or steal your stuff or whatever the case may be, forcible, breakable entry, anything that's going to be detrimental to your health once they walk in your door. Of course, if you live in a state that has, things like this, make sure that you look at the laws to make sure that you're covered. But here in Florida, the sheriffs usually back their law-abiding citizens when someone intruder tries to cause harm to them or their family. I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of folks look at Florida as one of the freest states in the union, and I wanted to share that with you. Now, I want to finalize this. I want to talk about something that was very heartbreaking for me to hear. And I'm still questioning the motives behind it in regards to what transpired. A lot of you folks know that we have we have a missing National Guardsman that was trying to save some folks. So that's what the news is saying. He was trying to save some migrants in the water, and he possibly have drowned, and they haven't found his body yet. As I'm reading this right now, as of right now, I haven't got any other further information on this. And this is why I feel if the southern border was secured the way it's supposed to be, if we kept working on the wall, if we had proper immigration and we had things in place to prevent the southern border as basically a revolving door. I mean, people can just come in and come in and come in. As you folks know, they've caught 23 people that have terrorist ties. How many did they not catch? Anyways, I'm going a little bit off the deep end here. Let's focus on this article. This is National Guard soldiers still missing at a southern border a day after trying to help immigrants from water. And here's where the story turns. A soldier from the Texas Army National Guard remains missing a day after he tried to help two illegal immigrants who appeared to be drowning in the Rio Grande in Eagle Pass, Texas. The two immigrants are now alleged by the Texas Rangers to be involved in narcotics trafficking. So we have one of our brothers, we have an American, we have one of our brothers in arms trying to save people's lives because of the influx of illegal immigrants, and come to find out these guys were drug traffickers or alleged drug traffickers. So this man or woman, I don't think did they say his name or her name? I don't know. Anyways, he went in to try to save people because he has a good heart and he didn't want someone to die, and he risked his life and lost his life for two alleged drug traffickers. That is absolutely horrible to hear, and I put that sole blame on the administration that's running this country now, specifically the President of the United States. Anyways, the service member selfishly attempted to help two migrants who appeared to be drowning as they illegally crossed the river from Mexico to the United States. The Texas Military Department said in an update on Saturday, initial reports from the Texas Rangers have determined that the two migrants were involved in illicit transnational narcotics trafficking. They remain in custody of the U.S. Customs Border Patrol, the department said. So, what a twist in that story, you know what I mean? What a twist that this man lost his life due to two illegal narcotics traffickers. I'll continue to say alleged, but I guess the story will develop. That's absolutely very heartbreaking to hear that we have lost someone due to the selfishness of the administration and not securing our southern border. We're worried about a lot of other borders, but we're not concerning ourselves with the southern border. How does that make any sense? To me, it doesn't. And that's my perspective and my opinion. Maybe most of you folks will agree, but maybe some won't. But anyways, I wanted to share that because that was when I found that out, I was very, very upset. Anyways, folks, go ahead and wrap up this Sunday live stream. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate every single one of you folks that watch my videos, stay here from the beginning to the end, who watch the replay. You guys are phenomenal folks. I truly appreciate all the support. You make all this worthwhile doing and helping me keep doing this on a consistent basis. And mods, you guys, again, you guys are always the glue to the making this machine run smooth. I guess I should say the grease that makes this machine, but you guys hold it together too. Thank you, mods, for being here and helping keeping as family friendly as possible, even on the Sunday shift report. Again, other than that, this is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys in the rebound. God bless, and please stay safe out there.